If you build it, they will come. And we're not talking about baseball. We're talking about racetracks. What do you do with 1,300 acres of farmland along the Dan River, just north of the border in Virginia? Well, back in 1956, they built this gym. Virginia International Raceway, 3.25 miles of absolute heaven. Paul Newman said if there is heaven on earth, it is probably right here at Virginia International Raceway. Danville, Virginia. It's actually Alton, Virginia, where the racetrack is located, just north of the North Carolina border in Virginia. An absolutely magical place. 17 turns, all types of passing opportunities here at this racetrack, but none of them are easy. The climbing S is up to Oak Tree there at turn 12, the back straightaway down to turn 14, down through the roller coaster to turn 17, and that finishes a lap here at VIR. VP Racing SportsCar Challenge coming your way. The competitors lined up in pit lane. Welcome, everyone. I'm Brian Till along with Jeremy Shaw. Jeremy, one pace lap here, and then it is time to get going.
Yeah, rock and roll, and what a wonderful racetrack this is. A good field of cars here. We've only got 7 P3 cars, but that's enough to have an interesting race. Still just the championship very much up for grabs here in the LMP3 section, with just 10 points separating Bejoy Garg and Daniel Goldberg, with this weekend and then one more weekend to go on the season. So everything up for grabs there in P3. In GSX, there are plenty of cars. They got 14 cars, and the championship again is up for grabs. Just 90 points at the moment in between Francis Seldorf and Sebastian Carrazzo, who will start second and third on the grid today, Brian.
Field rolling out right now. I think it's really interesting when you look at how the grid lines up. Bejoy Garg, Jeremy, you and I have talked about this, fast all along, but his racecraft improving every time he gets on the racetrack.
Yeah, I mean, he made a lot of mistakes in the early part of the season, but ironing those out now as he gains in experience. He's got a lot of experience now in all sorts of different cars. He's racing in Europe as well, and that just helped him perfect his craft. And that's what he's using this series as a springboard to bigger things in the future, he hopes, and he's certainly done a good job. And he's had 4 wins on the season, and that is enough to have him a slender championship lead over Daniel Goldberg coming into this race.
Round 9 of the 2023 season for VP Racing SportsCar Challenge. Jeremy, you look at the grid, 7 of the prototypes, the P3 machines, and then the rest of the field consists of GSX entries. Take us through the grid.
Yeah, we'll start 22 cars, and in the street at the back, Will Wax for BGB Motorsports in a Porsche, that's car number 17, alongside Frank Depew in the only Chevrolet in this field, car number 72. Row 10, Angus Rogers in car number 5, Tim Probert in car number 65. Row 9, Todd Coleman for Archangel Motorsports and Aston Martin, car number 69. And then a string of BMWs, 3 of them in a row. Car number 96 is Vin Valletta. Ahead of him on row 8, Patrick Wilmot in car number 88, and Sean Quinlan in car number 43. Good buddies making their debuts this weekend in the IMSA VP Racing SportsCar Challenge. Will share row 7 on the grid. That's Brady Berman in an Aston Martin for Van der Steur Racing, car number 82, and Scott Blind driving for a different team in a similar car for Archangel Motorsports in car number 45. Those two separated, by the way, by less than a tenth of a second in qualifying. Row 6 on the grid is Moise Uretsky, who is a Bronze Cup Championship leader for GSX in an Aston Martin car number 44. Alongside him for Nola Sport in car number 46 is Adam Adelson. Top 3 on the grid in GSX. Sebastian Carrazzo led the championship for much of the way, but had a very difficult weekend at Lime Rock Park. That's dropped him back. He will start 3rd on the grid in car number 27. That's the Kelly Moss with Riley Porsche. On the front row of the grid, though, in GSX is Francis Seldorf, leads the championship now for Turner Motorsports in the BMW car number 95. And on the pole sitter, hasn't done a full season, but whenever he has started, has been on the pole position. That's the Stephen Cameron Racing BMW car number 19 is Gregory Learfouge. Onto the LMP3 cars, Adrian Kunzel will start in the 7th position in a Ligier for MLT Motorsports. That's car number 54. Row 3 of the grid, Jonathan Woolridge for Performance Tech Motorsports in car number 38, and his teammate Alex Kirby in car number 7 alongside. Outside of the second row is a Duquesne for 47 Motorsports with Courtney Crone in car number 99. Alongside her on the grid is Brian Thielis, starts 3rd. for Forte Racing, powered by US Racing, another Ligier, that's car number 77. The front row of the grid, Dan Goldberg for JDC Motorsports in the Duquesne number 73. And on the pole position for Junior 3 Racing, Ligier JSP 320, car number 3 is Bejoy Garg, the championship leader.
And here we go, safety car pulls into pit lane. Time to go racing in VP Sports Car Challenge. You said it, Jeremy. Ligier chassis on the pole, Duquesne outside. Bejoy Garg looking for yet another victory. He wants to extend his points lead, and a big jump there. The green flag waves. Garg with a great start as they head down to turn 1. And Goldberg trying not to get swallowed up by the rest of the P3 field.
Yeah, is he going to make a move to the inside turn 1? No, he isn't. Bejoy Garg then he brought the field up to a pretty slow start there, but then jumped on the throttle and was able to get a bit of a jump over his championship rival Dan Goldberg. Good start there. And also in the, whoops, there's a spinner there. That
Todd
is
Coleman.
Todd Coleman goes around in one of the 2 Archangel Motorsports Aston Martins.
Not exactly sure what happened to Gregory Leofouge. He started last, so I don't know why he was back on the back of the grid, but he's moving his way up through. Problems for Coleman. 45 minutes to get back to the front. Let's see if we can see what happens here, Jeremy. Look for that green Aston Martin down low on the inside. He does it on his own.
He does, doesn't he? Just gone on the throttle a little bit too hard. His car's all around in there, but trying to tighten his line just a little bit. He's right up tight behind one of the Finn Barletta's Turner Motorsport car. I think he had to pinch the line because there's a car to his outside as well. And as he did so, and got on the throttle at the same time, kind of too much going on there for the rear end of that Aston Martin. Round it goes, but no foul. He didn't hit anybody else. He's got a bit of ground to make up, that's all.
Well, he does, and if he gets a full course caution, he'll be right back in the fight. So no harm, no foul, like you said. I think that car was just kind of pushing up off the apex. You called it, Jeremy. He tightened his hands, and he either lifted off the throttle because he was afraid he was going to get into the car on the outside and it came around, or he just stayed in it a little too much. And traction control is a great thing, but if you don't have tires up to temperature and pressure yet, you're going to get a little bit of wheel spin, and around she goes. And talking about around she goes, Bejoy Garg completes the first lap. And man, Jeremy, we talked about his racecraft and how it has improved, but I think the biggest thing that has improved for him is that first lap of being able to concentrate, put that first lap in the books, and this time it amounts to 1.3 seconds. That's his advantage as he crosses the line first time by.
Yeah, and the first 3 already pretty spread out because Brian Thenis in 3rd position. He's a similar margin behind Dan Goldberg, so a bit of a second or more between each of the top 3 cars. But then behind Thenis is Alex Kirby, who's managed to get past Courtney Crone on that first lap. Has he? Yes, he has. So he's maintained that position. Kirby then in number 7 car ahead of Courtney Crone, car number 99. And she instead has the other Performance Tech car right behind her. That's Jonathan Woolridge from Canada.
Thenis and Kirby running there in the 3rd and 4th position. I believe Alex Kirby's probation has worn off. He had some problems at the beginning of the year. But Jeremy, if you think back to Lime Rock Park, it was Brian Thenis there aboard that red, white, and blue number 77 that had the issues, 3 issues on the weekend, and he is on probation for the next 2 races. So got to really think about how he races here this weekend.
Yeah, that's right. There have been a few too many incidents, perhaps this season, but good effort there by Brian Thenis to get that car in the 3rd position here. That Forte Racing power by US Racing, kind of blue and red car, and he's holding on here ahead of the much younger Alex Kirby for Performance Tech Motorsports.
And that Junior 3 team has done such a good job of not only providing the good Ligier chassis for Bejoy Garg, but I think for helping him along with his racing and the focus that he needs. You can see now how it's coming into play as he extends his lead by another 0.7 of a second on the first lap aboard the number 3.
Indeed he is, and he's romping away out front. There is Bejoy Garg, already a couple of seconds between himself and Dan Goldberg. So he's looking to extend his championship lead. 4 race wins on the season for Bejoy Garg, and 3 for Dan Goldberg. The only interloper was Jonathan Woolridge, who won one of the 2 races at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Other than that, it's been the number 3 and 73 that won all the races. But back in GSX land, boy, it's tight in there. And as you say, for some reason, number 19 car of Gregory Liff, who started at the back. Maybe he was just trying to make things interesting, because he's not running this championship. It's just an opportunity to get more track time for that Stephen Cameron Racing team. And he's clearly the quickest guy here, got the most experience as well, is Gregory. But he's going to have to work his way through the field, is already doing so to pretty good effect.
Well, Jeremy, you've got that alarm feature on your phone, and you can set it, like 5, 10, 15 minutes before you're supposed to be somewhere. Maybe the Stephen Cameron crew should have done that. He was late to the grid, and that's why he had to start from the back. So got to be on time. But as you said, for Gregory Liafouche, so much talent with not only the driver, but the entire team, always setting up a good race car. He's got a good BMW underneath him, qualified on the pole with a pretty impressive margin. And so now he's going to see if he can find that margin again and work his way back up to the front.
Yeah. All right, and so too early for them, huh? Okay, right. It must have been, there was a revised schedule for this weekend, but the race was put back from the original schedule, so I don't think he's got much excuse there, has he? Great start, by the way, by Brady Berman in the GSX class. He's up to second position in that Van der Steur Racing car number 82. So behind Francis Seldorf, who leads, takes advantage of that vacant pole position there, with Gregory Liafouche having start from the back. And Seldorf has just set the best lap of the race so far. It leads the class by about 3 seconds over Brady Berman in second position, and everybody else right behind him. Is a big battle going on for second place and behind, as Seldorf makes his escape at the front of the GSX field.
Liafouche aboard the orange and blue number 19, looks inside the 96, trying to work his way past Vin Barletta, gets it done, headed into 4, and now they'll work his way through and see if he can catch up with the Aston Martin just up in front. Moise Uretsky aboard that turquoise and yellow number 44 as they head up through the snake. Liafouche seeing if he can take his BMW forward.
That's his plan, and he took him much longer than he would have anticipated to get past Vin Barletta there. Similar cars, both running in BMWs, but the Turner Motorsport cars in this race, that's been Vin Barletta in car number 96, and his Turner Motorsport teammate who leads in GSX, Francis Seldorf. They're both still running the old F82 M4 GT4 from BMW, not the newer car that's run by other contenders in this field. Gregory Liafouche is in the newer car, but they have slightly different balances of performance coming into this event. The older car is able to run significantly lighter than the newer car. It's 70 kilos lighter, 1450 kilograms to the 1520 of the newer car. But, oops, there's an off-course excursion. Who was that?
It's Alex Kirby, but
yes.
It was odd. He was off pace down the back straightaway, like there's a problem with the car mechanically. And I'm going to give him credit. I think he looked in his mirrors and said, there's a gaggle of cars coming, and I don't want to be in their way through the roller coaster, so I'm just going to drop off to the outside here, let them go by, and then I'll re-enter. And now he enters the pit lane, so not the day that Alex Kirby wanted. He's well off the pace coming down the back straightaway, looks in his mirrors and goes, yeah, I don't want any part of this, and I'm going to give him credit for that, Jeremy. Yeah,
absolutely right, and really heads-up driving there by Alex Kirby. He's clearly got some sort of mechanical problem. Not sure he meant to run off the road there, the exit of the roller coaster, but still, he did a good job to keeping that car out of the way.
He had some damage to a dive plane on the left front, but I didn't see any. It was just bent up. I didn't see any bodywork damage or anything like that. Perhaps in that hit, did some damage to the left front suspension. Maybe the car wouldn't turn there in turn 14, but like I said, I'm going to give him credit for going off and letting the cars go by, because he did it before the track out curbing started, which would have been the smoothest exit point in that corner. But anyway, you look at it, not the way the day was planned for Alex Kirby and that group there with Performance Tech Motorsports. So they'll go to work, they'll get the car back out there if they can. Remember, you got to set a good lap time today. That's going to set the grid for tomorrow. So we'll see if Performance Tech can get the number 7 back on track. Meanwhile, Liafouche aboard the 19 from Stephen Cameron Motorsports, that orange and blue BMW, now taking the fight to the Porsche just in front. Adam Adelson aboard the number 46 NOLA Sport entry. Gets it done.
Yeah, and this is a super battle there as Liefooghe tries to work his way forward here. It's not quite as easy as he perhaps thought it might be, because he had a good pace advantage in qualifying yesterday. He was the better part of a second ahead of Francis Seldorf. I mean, I'm going to say the better part of a second, 0.98 of a second, so almost a full second, literally ahead of everybody else. But he's just being methodical here, working his way forward when he has to. Still plenty of time to go in this 45-minute race. We've had only 10 minutes down now, 5 laps in the books for the leaders. There's no change amongst the LMP3 cars. They're all spaced out there. All 6 of the cars that are still running with that number 7 car in the pits are well spaced out. So Francis Seldorf, meanwhile, he's doing some good laps at the front of the field. He set the fastest lap in the GS category at the moment, and he extended that lead now to 4.7 seconds over, well, everybody else, because they are in a long train battling over second position.
I'm impressed that Gregory Liefooghe could do a 1:53 and change. He's got the second fastest lap out there, a 56.3, I should say, to the 56.1 of Seldorf. Seldorf has no traffic in front, and Liefooghe has been working through traffic and laying down those kind of lap times. And you think about the championship, Jeremy. Francis Seldorf leads it. He's out in front right now. Sebastian Carrazzo sits second in the championship. And for Carrazzo right now, he's got 3 cars in front of him, one of those being the championship leader. He didn't want Liefooghe to get by, because that just takes points away and extends Seldorf lead. But we'll see if Liefooghe can track down the leader here with 33 minutes and change to go from VIR.
Yeah, he's going to make this move, I think, on Brady Berman as they head up towards the roller coaster. There goes then Liefooghe to the inside, to the left-hand keep before turn 14 at the top of the hill. So he's now worked his way from the back of the field into second position. But the deficit to Seldorf is possibly over 5 seconds by the time he gets to the start-finish line. Now there goes Seldorf out of the final corner, heads towards the start-finish line. And what a good job, though, Brady Berman is doing. He doesn't have an awful lot of experience. He's done some track day cars. He's run a few SRO races this season, but very little. And so he's running here ahead of Sebastian Carrazzo, who's got a lot of experience in all sorts of different cars. That's a very good effort by Brady Berman. He's from Virginia Beach, so this is his home track. He was so excited about coming here this weekend. Spoke to him earlier in the week. And he is taking his racing very seriously. He stepped away from the business he set up, just trade-centric. You can see it on the side of that car. But he's doing a good job there. That's his buddy there, Scott Blind, running off the road in car number 45. They were separated, Berman and Blind, by only 1/10 of a second in qualifying. But Scott's making life a little bit difficult for himself running off the road at turn 4.
VP Racing Sports Car Challenge from Virginia International Raceway continues. Brian Till, Jeremy Shaw with you. This is round 9 of a 12-round season, and now Scott Blind with another problem. He had a problem just moments ago over in the turn 3-4 area, but now this is up through the snake, and that front grille, actually that would be the only grille you have on the car, right? Jeremy, the grille loaded with grass clippings, and that's going to be an issue. I would think temperature-wise, it is a warm day here, and Scott Blind may have to come to pit lane, as I'm going to expect the temperatures are going to climb.
Yeah, that's right. That is going to be a problem for him.
I'm sorry, that was Moisey Uretsky. Different car, similar paint schemes, and Uretsky gets loose there at the climbing S's. It was Blind just behind him in the yellow Aston Martin. I saw yellow and Aston Martin in 44 and 45 and got confused. It's easy for me to do, right?
Yeah.
I
mean, they've both got a good. Well, if you look at the side of the cars, they've both got a good amount of yellow on there, that's for sure.
And they're both Aston Martins.
So,
yeah,
hey,
44, 45.
I'll give you that.
Yeah, thanks, Jeremy. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. So the fastest lap of the race there this time around for Gregory Liefooghe, kind of a 19 in GSX. The gap still, though, is 4.7 seconds between himself and Francis Seldorf, the college student who still leads the class at the moment. He's a senior at Boston College, studying computer science and finance. He's learning very quickly about racing as well. His dad used to race Porsches, And Francis is following in those footsteps and doing a really nice job this season, his first full season of racing.
Once Gregory Lefouche has gotten clear of traffic, he lays down his fastest lap of the race so far, a 1:55.6 to the 1:56.1 of Francis Seldorf. And if I'm Seldorf, and I know the experience level that I have compared to that of Lefouche, I look at that, and I'm going to be pretty pleased with that. Half a second off of someone of Gregory Lefouche's caliber is not a bad thing at all. And another car off there coming through that turn 9 complex into 10 and 11. I believe that was Sebastian Carrazzo, and that's a problem. He's second in the championship, and we talked about having a good run here. You can't afford to lose more points to Seldorf out in front, so Carrazzo now is going to slip down the order as he doesn't make contact, but that off sets him well back.
It's so easy to make a mistake here. I mean, it's hot out here today. The cars are sliding around, and it's very easy to run off wide. When you run off wide here, you're on the grass, and you lose a lot of ground. And a lot of these corners here are sort of tightening radius corners, which means when you do run on the grass, it's a long way back to get onto the racetrack again. And so it costs you a lot of time. And for Sebastian Carrazzo, with his championship rival Francis Seldorf out in front of this race and scoring, at the moment, looking to score maximum points, although Lefouche closed on him by about a second on that last lap. No, about three-quarters of a second on that last lap, 3.5 seconds, the gap between first and second. So certainly for Sebastian Carrazzo, who has actually come into the pits now, so clearly has picked up a lot of grass on that car as well, and that's going to be very bad news for his championship aspirations.
Patrick Wilmot with a little slide off of turn 3. VP Racing SportsCar Challenge from Virginia International Raceway, and this is what this series is all about. It's why IMSA created it. It's multi-class racing, but in a sprint format. It trains drivers, it trains engineers, teams, and crews on how to run multi-class sports cars and how to deal with them out there on the racetrack from a driver's standpoint. Championship leader in the P3 category, the prototypes, Bijoy Garg leads here at Virginia International Raceway, looking for his 5th win of the season, 8 pole positions. Brian Till and Jeremy Shaw with you, and Garg right now, Jeremy, having everything his way.
Yes, he is. The gap was briefly over 10 seconds. It's now about 8.5 between himself and Dan Gerberg as they work their way through the GSX field. Bijoy Garg there puts a lap on the second place car in GSX as it heads up into the roller coaster, as Francis Seldorf, who leads that class, is coming up to complete his 9th lap now. But yeah, for Bijoy Garg, this is a Saturday afternoon drive for him because he's well out front under no pressure at all. But Brad Thenis, as they've worked their way through the traffic in car number 77 in 3rd position, coming under a bit of pressure now from Courtney Crone in car number 99.
Courtney Crone losing some ground at the start, fighting back now, trying to close down on the 77 just out in front. And Dan Goldberg aboard the 73 down into turn 1, the gray prototype, through turns 1 and 2, and just behind him, good battle going on between Vincent Barletta in the 96, the Turner Motorsport BMW, and right behind him, that bright yellow and white Porsche driven by Adam Adelson.
Yeah, Vin Barletta just got past Adam Adelson on that last lap, so good battle between that BMW and the Porsche, the Nola Sport car, the black, yellow, and white car. Is in currently the 4th position in the class, 5th position in the class, excuse me. And yeah, that pair, they're about 3 seconds behind Brady Berman, who's holds the final podium position at the moment. There's Courtney Crone. All the good work she had done has been undone there. She held up by a couple of GSX cars going through turn 10.
VP Racing SportsCar Challenge, multi-class sprint format in the IMSA family. Courtney Crone aboard the 99. In the P3 category, working her way past GSX cars, GT4-based GT machinery. We talk about this series training drivers and teams, crews and engineers, and I think that's what's so neat about it, Jeremy. This is kind of a stepping stone platform. This is a place to go if your sights are set on the WeatherTech Sports Car Championship and you want to drive a prototype or a GT car there. This is the same thing. We'll just call it the light version of it. Pit stops and the lack of equipment for pit stops help with the budget, and as do the 45-minute sprint race format. But the racing is just as intense.
Yeah, certainly a great stepping stone, I think, for these LMP3 cars. I mean, they're supercars to drive. There's a lot of them around the country, and they're not going to be part of the WeatherTech Sports Car Championship in 24, but they are going to be very much part of this championship moving forward, as Dan Goldberg slices inside the car of Francis Seldorf, who's now, when he looks in his mirrors, he's immediately going to see Moise Uretsky. That car, though, is a lap down.
And he had to come in to get the grill cleaned out after the off that he had. And I was going to say, really heads-up move by Uretsky when Goldberg was coming through. Yes, these are production-based cars, and yes, they still have turn signals in them, because you saw Moise Uretsky turn on the turn signal and indicate that he wanted the car to go by him. He just did it again. Brian Thenis and Courtney Crone up there in turn 10 and 11, and just saying, hey, go on and get by me. And that just shows the awareness that he has there. I should say turn 11 and 12, South Bend and Oak Tree, as they head onto the back straightaway. But it shows the experience and the awareness that he has to let those cars go by. The nice thing about some of this traffic, it's kind of kept Gregory Lefouge off the back of Francis Seldorf's rear wing of that Turner Motorsports BMW. Seldorf now down through the roller coaster, and Courtney Crone right behind him, and he doesn't want to pull over and be real nice to let her go, because he knows Lefouge is right there.
Very true. He's got to focus on his own battle here, though, and she's going to nip past quite cleanly there coming out of Hogpen. But as you see, the gap now between those two BMWs at the front of the field in GSX is down now to just over a second as they cross the line to complete their 11th lap. And they've pulled away quite some margin now from Brady Berman in third position. But this is a battle now that is intensifying at the front of the field. And for Francis Seldorf, he can see that Lefouge is gaining rapidly on him here. So we've got to understand that it's not really a threat in the championship, because Gregory Lefouge has only done 4 of the 8 races so far this season. And even though he's won 2 of those and second place position in the other, didn't start the 4th race. He's only done 3 races this season for Gregory. It's not a championship threat to Francis Seldorf, so Francis needs to realize here that's the case, and if he finishes second here, that's just fine, because even with that, he's going to extend his championship lead over Sebastian Carrazzo, who's already had his problems in this race.
Well, I was going to ask you that, Jeremy. If you're the team manager right now for Francis Seldorf, what is Don Salama, what's Will Turner saying to that young driver right now about the championship and about this race? I know he wants a race win. He doesn't have one so far this season. He's got a second, he's got a third, so he's got the 2 podiums, but he leads the championship. And I would think they would be telling him not to throw it away, trying to keep Lefouge behind him.
Very much so, but as you say, that first win has been elusive for Francis, and he definitely wants it. I mean, he's been saying that for a while now. In fact, the curious thing about this championship is none of the top 12 guys in the championship points have won a race yet.
Exactly.
So the part-timers have come in and taken all the victory spoils. But Francis would love to do this, but I think he realizes now that slightly newer spec car of Gregory Lefouge is a little bit quicker, so he's going to try and keep him behind him, but with just about halfway through this race, 21 minutes still remaining, it's going to be a tall order for Seldorf to remain out front.
Working through the turn 3-4 complex now, Lefouge has that Turner Motorsport BMW in sight. Not only in sight, I think he's got a rope around the rear wing, Jeremy. He is right there. Now let's see if he can catapult himself by, but with 21 minutes to go and being the experienced driver that Greg Lefouge is, I would think that it's not going to be a Hail Mary and a kind of a send it type of move. He's going to wait and make sure that he's got it before he tries to make that move.
True. Yeah, and Gregory Liefooghe is it's a veteran campaigner, but he's been around this sport a long, long time. From San Francisco, 42 years of age now. There's a lot of success in all sorts of things over the years, and he's going to be respectful of the fact that Francis Seldorf is leading his championship and has a championship to win. So as both of them get lapped by, I think that's number 38 car, Jonathan Wooldridge, who is running in the 5th position in P3 at the moment, as Courtney Crone goes through the final corner, trying to make up that ground again on Brian Thielers, who crosses the line now to complete his 14th lap. He's got a long, long way behind the leaders, but that gap between himself and Courtney Crone, 3.1 seconds this time around. And that's about what it has been for the last 2 or 3 laps since Courtney got held up by that traffic going up through the climbing S's 3 or 4 laps ago.
Courtney Crone just a couple of tenths quicker that last time by. And Brian Thielers in the 77 just in front. She's running out of time, 20 minutes to go and a couple of tenths a lap. It's going to be hard to get that done. She needs to find a little more speed. Perhaps they change something between qualifying and the race to try to get a better handle on the car. Or perhaps the racetrack has changed, Jeremy, with the temperatures continuing to climb throughout the day. And you talked about the respect that Gregory Liefooghe was going to show to the championship leader, and that's all I've seen right now. Think about it. You talk about the experience that he has. He's got one of the more experienced team owners in the paddock on the radio with him too, Stephen Cameron, who fierce competitor when he drove, fierce competitor as a team owner, one of the most respected guys in the paddock as far as the team owners go. And this is a formidable pair, but when you look at Francis Seldorf, it really is the same thing, driving for Turner Motorsports, right?
Very much so. Very much so. You're absolutely right. And a huge amount of experience in both of these teams. And Seldorf is like a sponge, picking up as much information as he can. And Liefooghe here, he knows he's quicker. I wonder whether he might just content to follow Seldorf to the finish line and maybe try and really just put him under pressure without making that pass. Like I say, he's not going for the championship. He doesn't really care that much whether he wins this race. Already got a couple of wins on the season, does Gregory. So is he just going to put Seldorf under some pressure and see if the youngster can soak it up? Meanwhile, the battle for third position in P3 is definitely closing up. That time, Courtney Crone was quite a bit quicker than Brian Thielers. He must have made a mistake. 148.1 last time around for Thielers. His best lap in this race, almost 3 seconds quicker. So that mistake has brought Courtney Crone now right back into contention for third position in P3.
Yeah, it is closing down several tenths, like you said, that time by. The battle of third, I should say, in the P3 category. Courtney Crone wants it. We'll see if she can hunt down the 77. And meanwhile, you think too, Jeremy, about Manufacturers Championship at stake in GSX. BMW leads it over Porsche right now. And both Seldorf and Liefooghe driving BMW. So Gregory Liefooghe is not going to risk taking 2 BMWs out and giving somebody else and the opportunity to perhaps move another mark up to the top of the field. So all of this is going through his mind. He's got this well planned out, and right now they've got traffic behind them. And again, this multi-class racing, it's what this training ground, it's what the VP Racing SportsCar Challenge is all about.
Yeah, it's cool, isn't it? And certainly this is a great learning curve here for Francis Seldorf, because Gregory is not allowing him to relax. He's not making a move for the lead, but he's certainly under pressure here. So this is a great learning experience for Seldorf. And I tell you what, about 10 seconds behind them, there's a good battle going also for third position. As yikes, that was a dodgy move around the outside.
Yeah, I think that was kind of misread. And again, you've got to know who's around you, right? And if I'm in the 54, where Adrian Kunzel is, I would have looked at that and said, they're going to let me go by on the right side. But he wanted to be on the left side when they got down to the end of the straightaway. I think Gregory Liefooghe was going to be more than happy to let him go along the right side of him, but Kunzel wanted the left, and that was a bit dramatic.
A little bit more exciting than it needed to be, probably. You're absolutely right. But these two BMWs still tied together as they come across the line this time around. Let's have a look at the lap time for Francis Seldorf as he crosses the line to complete his 50th lap. 157.5. His best lap is a 56.1. So, these Michelin tyres have been working hard during this race, so there will be some tyre drop off there for sure. He's certainly got, he's got to make sure if he doesn't make any mistakes, then I think Gregory Liafouche is going to maybe allow him to take the win. But there's still plenty of time to go in this race, still 15 minutes remaining.
Yeah, Vin Barletta is flying in the third position aboard his Turner Motorsports BMW at 56.8 that time by. You look at the lap times between Seldorf and Liafouche, a 157.57 for Seldorf, a 157.58 for Liafouche. You don't think they're running the similar lap times? Right there behind him, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. But like I say, he's not really putting him under any intense pressure. He's not trying to make a move as Liafouche. I'm sure he could do if he wanted to, but as we said, he's just respectful of the fact this young man is chasing a championship and, more particularly, and more importantly for him, his first win. It's cool to watch, though.
Well, and I think you pointed something out, Jeremy, that is very valuable. If Liafouche holds station, he's not letting Francis Seldorf win. He's going to put pressure on him the whole time, and if Francis Seldorf doesn't make a mistake, he would own that victory, not look at it as a gift. I certainly wouldn't look at it that way. The 96, Vin Barletta in third, BMW's 1, 2, 3, 2 Turner Motorsports entries in the top 3.
Absolutely right. So it's certainly been a really good day for that team. And, Vin Barletta, he'll be also racing in the Michelin Pilot Challenge race later on this afternoon. He's well placed in that championship as well as Vin. He leads now the Bronze Cup category this championship. I think I said Uretsky was leading earlier on. He was leading, but he didn't do the last 2 races at Lime Rock Park a few weeks ago. So Vin Barletta has taken the lead in the Bronze Cup category and now running in third position here, against for maximum points in that bronze driver field.
Up front, you saw Gregory Liafouche look to the inside in the braking zone for turn 1, did not stick the nose of that BMW down alongside, and Seldorf took the corner, maintains the lead. And what I was saying just a minute ago, Francis Seldorf, if he remains in the lead at the checkered flag, he earned this one, Jeremy.
Yeah, true. I mean, I think Liafouche could pass him if he really wanted to. But still, yeah, he is earning it because if he makes a mistake, then Gregory is going to get past him, no doubt about it. Yeah.
And it's easy to make a mistake here. You see the dust in the air up there in turn 11 and 12. So easy to drop the left side wheels off in between 11 and 12. You come up the hill there into South Bend, and the road really just falls off. The car gets light at the top and then falls slightly off camber to the outside, and you drop that left rear wheel there, Jeremy, you're going around or off.
True that. And a good lap last time around for Seldorf, a 156.6. That's within half a second of his best lap of the race there. He's under a lot of pressure here at the top of the hill as they head down through the roller coaster, down the hills, down toward Hogpen. But Seldorf is absolutely inch perfect here, doing a really, really nice job withstanding that pressure from behind with Gregory Liafouche in that orange and blue BMW looming large in his mirrors.
Brian Till, Jeremy Shaw with you from VIRginia International Raceway, VP Racing SportsCar Challenge. This is the fight up front for the lead in GSX. Francis Seldorf owns the lead right now aboard the 95. Gregory Liafouche wants it, places the 19, that Cameron Motorsports entry alongside there at the exit of turn 2, tries to go the high side, nothing doing there. And Francis Seldorf right now, he may be in college full-time, but he's in motorsports college today, Jeremy, and Liafouche is really taking him to class.
Good to see, isn't it? They're really, really cool. I mean, Liafouche under braking there for Turbo was right alongside him on the outside line, but the outside line's not the easiest way to make a pass around there. So Seldorf did a good job of maintaining his position out on the inside line, defending that inside line. Wasn't blocking him, he was just defending the position, doing a really nice job. Driving absolutely perfect at the moment. All of a sudden now, it's going to change for third position.
Courtney Crone.
Traffic again.
Yeah, not only caught the 77, she's by. And so that is going to move Courtney Crone into a podium position if she can hold on to it for the next 10.5 minutes.
Yeah, and traffic again, because the last lap there were 3 seconds. The gap without again to more than 3 seconds between Venus and Crone, but some more traffic there in turn 1 and 2. That's enabled Courtney to not only to close, but as you say, make that pass. So up into third position, looking today for her 4th podium on the season in that Red Dragon car number 99.
They head up into South Bend. Courtney Crone out in front. Let's see how it happens. Little traffic, good move down into the braking zone. Crone just places the car down to the right, brakes a little bit later, gets a little twitch under the heavy braking, but maintains control of her Duquesne chassis and takes the position.
Yep, that's right. Coming down the hill, it was that Venus was held up. It cost him a fair bit of momentum on the straight, and Courtney able to take advantage of that really nice move by the youngster there from Southern California. Well, 2 Californians here, because Brian's from Huntington Beach in California as well. But she isn't 60 years old like Brian Venus is. He's doing a fabulous. Hats off to Brian here. Really good job there. He's going to see if he can put her under pressure, make her make a mistake, and get that third position back again. He wants, no doubt about it, to finish on the podium.
He is right there, and he's going to look to the inside, not really able to make a move, but really more of a distraction to see if he could upset her a little bit as they head down into turn 1 and 2. And Jeremy, I think about this multi-class racing, and really it's not only where you catch traffic, it's how you catch it and what you do with it, and looking kind of forward, playing the next chess move. If you see it down through the roller coaster, you can't just run up on the back of it and you're going to be parked. You've got to learn when it's a little better to slow down to get a run so that you don't get held up in those places that are going to be detrimental to you and give an advantage to your competitor behind.
Yeah, exactly right. And reading the track ahead of you is so important. That battle for the lead in GSX is continuing. It's still Seldorf who leads, and as that battle for third position overall works their way up towards Oak Tree. Venus, he might have an opportunity there, but not quite.
Just couldn't get it done. P3 battle up top. GSX battle for the lead on the bottom. The P3 battle is for the 3rd and final position on the podium. Down on the bottom, the yellow BMW, Francis Seldorf, leads in that category as he works his way around lap traffic. Gregory Leafouge not letting him go aboard the 19. Stephen Cameron Motorsports entry. Down to turn 1, Leafouge looks to the inside. Seldorf not gonna blink. Holds his line, brakes late, maintains the lead.
Yeah, good stuff. And they're dealing with that traffic there as well. No problem for Francis Seldorf, able to maintain that lead again. And just now, 7 minutes remaining, so about another 4 laps probably he's got to hold on here ahead of Gregory Leafouge if he can.
Closing down on the final laps from Virginia International Raceway in the VP Racing SportsCar Challenge. Francis Seldorf leading in the GSX category up through the snake, the climbing S's. And Gregory Leafouge not letting him get away. The yellow BMW in front of the orange and blue. They've been this way for the last 20 minutes or so. Leafouge has been relentless, not letting Seldorf get away at all, Jeremy. I think the most the lead has been is maybe a car length, and that's when they work their way through traffic. Meanwhile, Bijoy Garg, comfortable lead in the P3 category.
That's right, and this is certainly the best battle in the field at the moment. It's a good battle going on for 7th and 8th in GSX between Angus Roberts and Frank Depew, but this battle for a second position is pretty cool, and they've pulled out a pretty handy lead over Vin Barletta in 3rd position, who's also extended his lead now over Brady Berman. in 4th place.
And don't
But,
forget,
a very good debut for Berman.
Absolutely. And don't forget, this battle, it has championship implications as well, as Brian Thenis is 90 points in front of Courtney Crone in the championship. So if she can claw a few points back here by finishing in front of him, that's going to help her in her season-long hunt.
A very good point. Yes, absolutely right. Yeah, they're a long, long way behind Joe Garg and Dan Goldberg. But you're right. That's everything to play for here between this pair as they work their way past the 3rd place car. Vin Barletta there, I think maybe taken a little bit by surprise there.
I think he was. And I thought Courtney Crone was going to get an advantage and place the BMW between herself and the 77, but it didn't happen. I think Barletta a little bit surprised that she was there. That caused her to check up a little bit, and that allowed 77 to stay right there on the rear wing. She's not going to be able to take a breath for another 5 minutes and 5 seconds, Jeremy.
No, that's right. And the Vin Barletta, who's running into the position in GSX, the best of the Bronx Cup cars. The car he's dicing with, that Aston Martin, is not for position, because that's the car of Moise Uretsky, who he's dicing with at the moment. But Moise is a lap down to Vin Barletta, so not a battle for position between those two.
Take you back just a little bit and give you an idea of how the 77 was able to close up. Courtney Crone had to check up big time for the Aston Martin off to the outside, and then Brian Thenis almost throws it away as they head into turn 11. He drops those left side wheels.
Yeah, I was wondering what happened to Brady Berman, because he was in a fairly comfortable 4th position in the class, but has just lost that on that last lap to Adam Adelson. That explains it. He ran wide at turn 10, way off onto the grass, and that's cost him a lot of time. The good news is he's got a big margin ahead, or behind him, I should say, to Angus Rogers, who's running in the 12th position overall, who's doing a nice job, by the way. Scott Lind was in that position, but he's just brought number 45 car into the pit lane.
And the education continues for Francis Seldorf leading in GSX. It's Gregory Leofus just behind, who is teaching the class. And here comes the battle for 3rd in the P3 category coming up behind them. So for Seldorf, he needs to make sure that he doesn't get caught up with these prototypes that are going by and allow Leofus to get by him for the lead in GSX.
True that, and this battle for 3rd place overall there, with the Courtney Crone holding on off Brian Thenis. They're both working their way past a battle for the lead in GSX. Is that going to give Leofus an opportunity to come alongside?
I didn't expect to see that out of Gregory Leofus. I saw him go wide, and I thought he was just going to kind of once again fill the mirrors of Seldorf. I think he got out there in the gray where there was no grip. And there's the experience that a driver like Gregory Leofus has. He gets out there in the gray and goes, oh my goodness, I've got no grip. Immediately straightens his hands and just drives straight off the racetrack and comes back on instead of trying to stay on the racetrack and potentially spinning the car, because if you spin it and lose control of it there, you're going to meet the tire wall. True,
yeah, which would not be a good plan at all. So discretion a better part of valor there. I think he saw his opportunity, he went for it, and he was thinking, well, is the leader going to blink there? No, he didn't. Okay, in that case, I've got to run off over the grass. So no harm, no foul there for Gregory. Hopefully, he won't pick up too much grass in the grill of that BMW, cause it to overheat. But in the meantime, both of those battles do continue.
You saw all the dust come up off of the 19 when he got out there offline. Leofus recovers from his momentary mistake. And no mistakes right now for Courtney Crone aboard the 99, the Red Dragon. That Duquesne chassis, she's putting it where it needs to be, trying to keep the 77 behind her. And it's like every time she gets a gap, Brian Thenis is able to close back down just a little bit, coming to the white flag this time. So 2 to go. Joy Gard, you and I talked about it at the beginning of this race, Jeremy. His racecraft has improved so much. The speed has always been there. and that Junior 3 team working with him to be a better racer. He's spending a lot of time in open wheel racing as well this year. It has made him a more complete driver. The white flag waves. 3.25 miles around for VIRginia Garg, looking for his 5th win of the season, and most importantly, Jeremy, extending his points lead over Dan Goldberg.
Yeah, and he's more than half a minute ahead of Dan Goldberg, so he's really laid it down here as VIRginia Garg, and Dan Goldberg absolutely no answer to the speed of that Junior 3 racing and VIRginia Garg, car number 3. He's been out front this whole race. It's been a pretty lonely drive other than working his way through the traffic. And that's the great thing about this VP Racing Sports Car Challenge, because this multi-class race, he has to work his way past some significantly slower cars in GSX and not compromise his own lap times. Meanwhile, this battle for GSX is continuing out front. It's still Seldorf who leads. No hint of a mistake yet. And he's going to see the white flag in just a few moments' time.
Gregory Leofouge aboard the 19, doing his best Jack Nicholson imitation. I'm back, right? He made that mistake, and now he is right back on the rear wing of Francis Seldorf. Meanwhile, Garg out in front, and this battle continues there in P3 for the final podium position. This is for the win in GSX. Oh, and Francis Seldorf doesn't want to see this. He's got traffic in front. It's the 27, Sebastian Carrazzo. Carrazzo, second in the championship. Is he going to be nice to Seldorf when he catches him?
He's on the tail end of the lead lap, isn't he, Seldorf? So they're catching him slowly. Let's look at the lap times last time around. A 58.4 for Carrazzo, 57 for class leader.
The checkered flag waves at VIR for VIRginia Garg. He takes his 5th victory of the season. This one looked easy, but Jeremy, I've got to believe that the last lap was the most difficult one. With such a huge lead, easy to lose concentration. He did not. And speaking of remaining focused, Francis Seldorf remaining focused up front in GSX. The battle for 3rd in P3 continues. Courtney Crone still has it. Brian Thenis will get one more shot through Hogpen onto the front straightaway. Is he going to be able to get a draft down this long straight? Checkered flag is a good ways down, and speaking of getting a draft, Leofouge was looking for one. Courtney Crone is going to finish 3rd. She takes the final step on the podium. She'll gain some points on Thenis in the championship. That's big there. This is big. Sebastian Carrazzo is the first of this threesome through the roller coaster and Hogpen, but the battle for the lead is what's right behind him. That is Francis Seldorf in the Turner Motorsport BMW. He has had Leofouge attached to his rear wing for more than half of this race. The checkered flag falls. The first win for Francis Seldorf in his professional career here in the VP Racing Sports Car Challenge. He takes it at VIR, and the pressure was relentless.
It was. That was a tremendous drive by Francis. I mean, he knows how good Gregory Leofouge is, particularly at any sort of BMW. And he was under pressure the whole way through there. No mistakes whatsoever. A couple of times, Leofouge got alongside him, didn't blink, kept his advantage, and takes that very, very well-deserved first win for Francis Seldorf. Well done to him. Well done also to VIRginia Garg. A perfect performance out front. He'll have learned something during that race for sure, particularly getting past the slower GSX cars. So that'll be very beneficial for him. But no threats from behind for VIRginia Garg. The young Californian, just 21 years of age, takes his 5th win of the season, extends his championship lead.
Well, yeah, VIRginia Garg is going to gain 30 more points on Dan Goldberg. But Jeremy, when you look kind of quickly at GSX, the points there, what do you see with the bad day for Carrazzo and the win for Seldorf?
Yeah, he's extended his lead now by quite some margin. Carrazzo finishes in 8th place, so he'll lose another 120 points to Francis Seldorf. The gap between them coming into this race was 90, so over 200 points of an advantage now that Francis Seldorf will have heading into the final 3 races of the season, and one more race here at VIR tomorrow morning.
It was a good one here for VIRginia Garg. Really no pressure from the beginning, and so he'll take the victory there. VIR, it always great racing and certainly multi-class racing in the VP Racing Sports Car Challenge. 3 races to go in the 2023 season and 1 more tomorrow from Virginia International Raceway. Why did Paul Newman call this heaven on earth? Because the drivers love it, the challenges are there, certainly the fans are always here at Virginia International Raceway. Oh dear, the wildlife here as well, both on the track and in the paddock and in the spectator areas. VP Racing Sports Car Challenge, thanks for joining us. For Jeremy Shaw, I'm Brian Till. We'll see you back tomorrow here at Virginia International Raceway.